Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kayra. I'm Turkish. English is my second language, and in today's video I'm going to talk about how I learned English, how you can learn it, and become fluent by yourself. Okay, so here's how the video is going to go. First, I'm going to talk about my journey, then I'm going to give some tips for absolute beginners. Then I'm going to talk about small habits and listening, then grammar, vocabulary, reading, writing, and speaking. Finally, I'll give some general tips and we'll end the video there. I didn't really separate the levels in this video, so whatever your level is, you don't have to skip any parts, you can watch the whole video. So let's talk about my journey. So obviously I had English classes in school. They were pretty much useless per usual. And then for A1 and A2, I took some classes outside of school. Those were the only useful classes I had in my entire language learning journey, because later when I was B2, I took a class and it was the worst. The teacher's English was worse than mine. It was a total waste of money and total waste of time. So I was A2 in 2020 and COVID happened. So I wasn't leaving the house and I decided to sit down and improve my English. So I found some resources and some methods and I started studying on my own. So I pretty much started at the end of 2020, and then a year or two later I got myself to a B2 level. After that I went on a foreign exchange year in the US with a scholarship program and I studied there for 10 months and I came back a year and a half ago. Like I said, I was B2 before the exchange year. If you'd like to double check and make sure that I was fluent before, you can go to my first YouTube video. You'll be able to see clips from when I was flying to the US. So yeah, now for absolute beginners, I'm not gonna dive deep into the section, but if you're starting from zero, I have a video called How to Learn Any Language in 3 Months where I explain how I learned Italian from A1 to B2 level by myself, so you can check that out. Now let's talk about small habits and listening. A lot of people don't pay attention to the fun stuff because they think it's easy and it's not impactful. If you think that way, you're making a huge mistake, because that stuff is what teaches you the most. And most importantly, it's what helps you stay consistent. So let's talk about these fun stuff and the things to integrate to your life. Okay, first of all, you need to use your phone, your laptop, anything and everything technological in English. This is non-negotiable. I don't want to hear any excuses like, oh, I tried it before, I couldn't do it. It is not that difficult. You can do it, okay? You got this. Then all your free time activities should be in English. I'll start with cartoons. My personal favorite is Miraculous Ladybug. When I was learning English, I watched the whole series in English and I also picked out some episodes and I translated them to my first language. So this way I learned the vocabulary and the grammar from those episodes. One more thing you can do, I did this for Italian. Pick out an episode, translate it, and watch it for like 20 days. So for example, when you're having breakfast, put that episode on. Because since you already know the meaning of each sentence, you're just gonna memorize it in English. Then watching TV series and movies, this is also essential. It has been years since I watched a TV show in Turkish, and the only time I watch a movie is when I'm with my dad, because he doesn't like reading subtitles and I don't like listening to dub. The whole language learning process is so open to being something fun to do, so take advantage of that. Like watching TV series and movies is such a fun way to practice a language that I don't like to waste that time with watching it in my first language, if that makes sense. If you're around A2, B1, I'd recommend you to watch sitcoms. I'll put some examples on the screen. For higher levels, you can pick pretty much anything. What's really important here is to watch it with English subtitles. It might sound simple, but you will improve significantly. I'll also share some of my favorite TV series. They're not necessarily sitcoms. So Friends, Gilmore Girls, Daisy Jones and the Six, and with an E, Stranger Things, How I Met Your Mother, the list goes on. Besides cartoons, TV series, and movies, vlogs are also very helpful. Just find a vlogger that you like. I myself have 30 vlogs from when I was studying in the US, so if you're interested in that, you're welcome to check them out. Other than that, any type of content you consume, it should be in English. So let's say you need a tutorial on something or you're gonna check out a recipe, it should be in English. Same goes for social media. Follow creators who create content in English. For higher levels, you can watch the news, you can watch documentaries, you can watch TED Talks, you can watch TED Ed. I love TED Ed. They make educational videos. I'll read you a couple examples. Why is Earth tilted? How do fireflies create light? How to fix poverty? What's inside an inhaler? And obviously they use a lot of advanced vocabulary. One more thing you can do here is pick like a 5-minute historical video, translate it and watch it over and over and again. This way it's listening practice. It's kind of writing practice. You're learning the vocabulary, you're learning the grammar, and you're learning the historical event you chose. So now we're even more educated. Now I'd like to talk about one more resource that is very helpful when you're consuming various types of content. It's called Fluent. It's basically a website, an app that lets you browse content, watch it with 2 subtitles at the same time, learn the vocabulary, and quiz yourself. As you're watching the content you chose, you can click on the words you don't know, learn the meaning, listen to the pronunciation, and read example sentences. Then at the end of each video, you get a quiz. I think the example sentences and the quizzes really help you get the grasp of the words and the concepts concept better because it's easier to understand and memorize a word in a context than by itself. And quizzes help you with getting the words into your active vocabulary by making you write them, etc. Also, if English is not your only target language, there's like 10 different language options. I use Fluent U for German because that's my target language. That's also why you're seeing all the examples in German. Anyway, I personally really enjoy learning clips from the Disney movies or learning the Disney songs. Then once I've learned it, I listen to the songs again. This way it really clicks in my head. You can also add Fluent U as a Google extension for YouTube and Netflix. So you just go to the YouTube and Netflix section on the website and click Add to Chrome. This way you'll have a wider range of content options. I'll show you an example of how we can use it from YouTube. So you pick a video you like, then using Fluent U, you can read the subtitles, and when there's a word you want to learn, you can click on it, click save. This way you can also study the vocabulary on the website. I think this is a great resource, especially when you have a busy schedule, because it doesn't tire you. You can use my link in the description to get a 14-day free trial and 40% off. Then listening to songs is also a very fun way to learn. So find some music you like, put them on when you're getting ready or having breakfast, whatever you're doing. You can also listen to podcasts. The options are endless. It can be about history, it can be about fashion. So what's really important is you integrate these to your daily routine. There's also a website called Screen. I think they also have an app. Basically, you pick your level. It gives you clips. Either you have to listen to it and it gives you two options of what the subtitles were, or you watch the clip, it gives you two options of translations, and you need to pick which one's correct. These small habits really matter because you don't have to think about it, you don't have to convince yourself to do it because it's already fun. The more you make the process fun, the more likely you would be to stick to it. Now let's move on to grammar. I'd like to start with BBC Learning English. So BBC has a website for teaching English. So they have different level options such as lower intermediate, intermediate, upper intermediate, and towards advanced. There are 30 units for each level. There's usually 5 sections in each unit. These sections cover vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, listening. There are quizzes at the end, and you can also see the vocabulary and the grammar reference. So just search up BBC Learning English course information and you would be able to see all the levels. Then another option is finding a playlist on YouTube. So for example, you can just search up B1 English course, see the options and pick a channel you like and follow that playlist. Take notes, write it down. Then after you learned a grammar topic, go to Google, search up the grammar topic and write exercises. Make sure you do the exercises to make sure that you know how to use the grammar topic. Here are a couple YouTube channels that I generally use when I was learning English, but as for a playlist for a certain level, it's better that you try different channels and see what you like. As for vocabulary, I'd like to start out with Quizlet. So Quizlet is a flashcard app / website. So let's say you translate an episode from a cartoon and you want to learn the vocabulary from it. You can create flashcards on Quizlet and study them. Quizlet has several different features like flashcards, learn, test, blocks, blast, match. It's kind of in a game style, so it makes it more fun. Then we have Larma. This is an app. It teaches with images. It tests you by making you translate them, write them, etc. Then we have Reverso Context. This is a website where you can search up example sentences. So let's say there's this word you don't know, and even after seeing the translation you don't get it, you can search it up here and see example sentences because, like I said, it's usually easier to understand in a context. Then we have reading. If you're on your way to becoming intermediate, I would recommend you to read short stories. So either find some short stories or some children's stories and read those, translate what you don't know, then learn it. There's also a website called The Fable Cottage. They have cute little short stories. I love their animation style. Then if you're a confident intermediate, you can start reading some novels that you've read before, but this time in English. So pick out a book that you enjoyed reading, make sure the language is not too difficult, and start reading it in English. If there's not a book that you'd like to reread, you can also pick out a new book, read one chapter in your mother language, then read one chapter in English. Or if you're already feeling confident enough, you can just pick out a new book and fully read it in English. Now there's a website called Anna's Archive. You can pretty much find any book you want and you can download them for free. Now let's move on to writing. Writing might be slightly boring, but do not neglect it because if you don't practice using what you learn, you're gonna forget it. Here are a couple options you can try out. You can start keeping a diary, you can chat with AI, and you can also make foreign friends and text with them. I will be getting into that in the speaking part. Okay, now the most important part, speaking. When you learn another language after learning English, you realize some things. So you realize English was easier to learn, and you realize it was a lot easier to find people to practice English with. Because when I was learning Italian, it was so difficult to find Italian people to speak with. But with English, they don't have to be be a native speaker. It can be anyone from any country. But anyway, this is the most crucial part. Making foreign friends is the game changer. I'll start explaining how I made online friends back then. So during COVID, I was playing Among Us, and me and this one random girl started teaming up together. And at the end of the game, we exchanged Instagrams. We were chatting on Instagram, and one day we decided to call each other. The first time we called, I was so nervous. We were getting along so well that at one point we were calling each other every day for at least an hour. I also made some friends through videos on Instagram. For example, I met this one girl from Argentina through the comments of a video like say hi and make foreign friends, or like write down your zodiac sign and meet other Ariuses. So her and I have been friends for like 4 years. Her dad lives in Spain, and now that I'm in Italy, if she visits her dad, we might be able to meet up. But anyway, there are a lot of videos on TikTok where people post things like I want to make foreign friends, and a lot of people leave comments, so you can find those videos, or I'll make things easy for you. If you want to make foreign friends to practice English with, write a comment down below, and someone else who also wants to make foreign friends can reply to you and you can be language buddies. Okay, before we finish, I want to take a couple more tips. First of all, don't neglect practicing the active ways. These are writing and speaking, and the passive ones are listening and reading. If you don't practice the active ways, you're gonna forget what you learned through passive ways. So it's important to keep the balance. Then make sure you practice speaking from the beginning. You're gonna be making mistakes, but that's okay because that's how you learn. If you don't practice in the beginning, it's very likely that later you're gonna forget the basics. Lastly, if you don't want to forget what you learned, generally, always surround yourself with the language. So that was it. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below, and happy learning. Bye!